The system is set up, actually, it's kind of the same everywhere we go, is that, people make a paycheck and then they put it in this, into this thing called a bank, let's say. And that's pretty much the way the system is. So, and they also take your money through insurance products or, pensions or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter what word you use. It's your money. It's everyone's money getting put into some kind of financial system. It could be a pension, it could be insurance. It doesn't really matter. But then what happens is all these people, the bankers, the wealth managers, the pension funds, all the securities that are all over here that are basically taking the money from the masses, they need people to invest it. That's how the system works. So that little quarterly statement that you guys get, that maybe you open, maybe you don't open, it's invested somewhere. Somebody somewhere is investing that money. So the same thing with a bank. Now, so what traditionally, what the bank calls it is debt, of course, or a mortgage, or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. It could be credit card debt. It could be an auto debt. It could be debt for your home. It could be debt for investment. It could be debt for an airplane. It doesn't really matter. It's just debt. But it comes from you. So what happens is they give you, the bank gives you, let's just be generous and say 1%. Which is actually less than that, as you guys know. But then what they do is then I go to the bank with my property here, let's say, and I need debt. So then they go, we're going to give you this debt, which is actually your money. So this is why we call it OPM, other people's money. But what they do is that they charge me, let's say 4%. So now the bank is making, let's say 3% on your money. So when you give money to a bank, it's a liability to the bank. It is. You're looking for interest on that money. They're housing your money for you. And then their job is to lend it out. So they give it to guys for businesses, for autos, all that. That's how the whole system works. And so that's why when you drive down the road, you see the banks have all their names on all these big buildings. This is it. This is how the system works. That's the way the whole system is. So the entire system is predicated. And by the way, I'm borrowing from insurance companies. I'm borrowing from pension groups. I'm, like the retired teachers or firemen or police. They all put their money into pensions, and then those pensions, they lend it out again. So what they're always looking for is they're always looking for people to put the money into the system, and then the financial planners, the wealth managers, the money managers, whatever you want to call them, their job is to actually go out and find people like you to lend it, to open businesses, to put up a beauty salon or a stylist shop or an esthetician business. And that is how the system works. So the money is sitting here, it's OPM or other people's money, and it needs to be lent out. Now, the issue that they have, of course, is you. Do you have the financial capability to pay it back? And that's what Rich Dad really stands for. So this system exists whether you do it or not. It doesn't matter to them. So what they're trying to do is take a look at, are you an asset or are you a liability? So when you go into the bank and you can't get a loan, which happens to all of us, for some reason, there is a reason. There is a reason, and typically that reason is me or you. And so what I had to do is I had to learn how to borrow this kind of money and to raise this kind of money to be able to invest it into these things, which are now, for me, apartment houses. And so I was just telling Robert, I don't think I told Tom yet. So right now we have, let's see, about 300 million in construction in Arizona. And so we need both debt and equity to do that, because obviously my partner and I, we don't have that sitting in a checking account. No one does, okay? No one. So, so the strategy of being able to go out and find land, buy a master plan, create a master plan, or find some kind of a deal and put it together, this is what the system wants. They want it. They need it. They need to deploy that money. Now, the problem is that as it starts to get returned back, so as I pay back the debt and as it goes back to here, there's all kinds of fees. So this is why some of you might have quarterly statements that aren't really changing very much, because it might be making a little bit of money, but you got to pay attention to how it's being allocated and the fees, because what happens is if it starts at the bank, it goes through various stages of money management before it actually makes its way down to here. So, so the deals that we're doing in Arizona right now, and we are pretty much Texas, Oklahoma, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, and Arizona, primarily Arizona and Texas primarily. So I buy existing properties in Texas. So we own quite a few there. We just this year we bought 1,200 units in Austin and Houston, and using this exact same model. But with new construction, it's very different. Different team, different set of education. It's very different. So I have two different buckets of debt. So I have the bank debt for the new construction, but we have more sophisticated institutional or even Fannie or Freddie Mac debt for our existing properties. So what you find is that the debt gets categorized by risk as well, because building something new is a lot riskier for the debt, for the bank, as they represent you, than buying an existing building that already has a tenant in it. So so you just got to take a look at how debt and equity are priced, and once you start to understand that and learn it, then you can talk the language. But honestly, it's just like riding a bike. Once you understand it, it does not change. Literally, it doesn't matter who the banker is, who the money manager is, it all is exactly the same. So while the deals might change, the language around debt and equity and this here is exactly the same from country to country, from state to state, from city to city.